Welcome to the Ricardo del California show. Today I am with Kim Tomaska. Kim is a performance psychology consultant and fitness expert. Kim, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Absolutely. I discovered Kim on Instagram. There was a post, and it was all about health, fitness, wellness, and travel. And that spoke to me because all four of those things should be implemented in everybody's life, and obviously travel not every day, but a couple times a year. Kim, I love the island look there you got going for yourself.
Mexico.
You are in Mexico, and we're going to talk about Mexico and a retreat that perhaps some of our guests might want to take. Okay, so Kim, you have a lot of accolades. You have a bachelor's in psychology. You also have a master's degree in performance psychology. Kim is also a certified trainer from the Academy of Sports Medicine in corrective exercise specialist, and I believe you also said you were another one had a certification as a fitness nutrition specialist. So
Right.
that's some years of education and training there. How long did it take you to kind of accumulate the accolade, so to speak?
You know what? It was so sporadic, but all my psychology work was done in 6 years. Had a lot of other medical schooling that I was doing before that, pre-med school work, and then an associate's in music as well. And then so many other certifications in between that all the personal training stuff kind of was in the span of about, I would say, 8 years while I was working on all my other schooling.
Okay, so definitely lots of education, a lot of training, all from different areas. Kind of a Renaissance woman in an essence is what you are, I say. So, which is very cool. You started off getting a lot of education, getting the foundation. What drew you into the whole wellness culture?
Very good question. So it's kind of an interesting background. So, and it started back from when I was a child. I happened to fly out of a car when I was 5 years old. And I never, ever went to the doctor or anything for it. And I started to notice as I was playing sports as a teenager, my dad kind of always had me involved in sports and music as extracurricular activities. And I noticed I was having a lot of neck issues and experiencing a lot of pain, headaches, and things like this. And this was probably when I was about 13 years old. So I started to go see a chiropractor for a while, and it was really helping. And then due to financial reasons, I wasn't able to continue to go to see the chiropractor. But I knew it really helped a lot. And later on, as I, got into my late teens, so that was one of the reasons. It was like, okay, I'm experiencing all this pain. And then what really kind of brought me to, okay, this is the avenue the direction I need to go in my life was I was sort of a wild teen in my late teens. And I came to this epiphany when I was very early 20s, like 22 years old, that I needed to course correct in my life because things weren't moving into a positive trajectory, right?
Correct.
So I decided I had gained a bunch of weight because I was having, when I say party, it was, some substance abuse things going on. So I decided to completely go into a different direction. And during that time, I had gained about 50 pounds. And so I was trying to lose the weight that I gained. And so I was just very adamant about getting my nutrition on course. I had some friends who knew about nutrition, and I was always kind of taught that, okay, this is how you're supposed to eat. There was this old school way of thinking of, okay, just eat a turkey sandwich or whatever it is, or just
have a protein shake.
Yeah. And I didn't know what whole foods were, really. So I had friends teaching me about this, and it was opening a whole new world to me. And then that's when I decided, okay, I'm going to go to the health food store and learn about food and exercise regularly. That's when at a local gym they said, hey, do you want to be a personal trainer? We see you're here all the time and working really hard. And I said yes. And then as far as the nutrition goes, that was kind of a work in progress.
Sure.
But that was the exact moment when I was 22 years old, and it took a long period of time because my body had adapted to being physiologically in an unhealthy place. And so it took time to do it and to get myself back to health in a positive way that wasn't, through a fad diet or just over exercising or any of those things. Because I was really.
Yeah, you needed a system by which you were going to work through that would incorporate the proper meals, the fluids, the right exercises so you don't injure yourself, and structure. And a lot of times people, right, they go through these fad diets or they're like, oh, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to cut out the carbs. It was interesting. I read a book by Simon Watterson called Intelligent Fitness, and you talked about how all these people will try to go all these crazy things, and then the body will go into revolt saying, no, I still need some of these carbs. I still need some of this nutrition. So a balance. So yeah, and most people just kind of like wing it, and it takes some time to really kind of dial it in, which sounds like with what you were doing.
Exactly. And that's the whole thing is there are so many different fitness fads. This is why I'm not a big fan of fads. I really try and shy away from it. I want to know the science behind things before I subscribe to anything. And because there's so many different fads with diet, with exercise and everything. And so I wanted to learn the more holistic approach and do it for my body.
And that's an incredible thing. And it started with going down one trajectory, realizing this is going to hit a dead end, and then doing a U-turn.
Exactly.
And the fact that you connected with the right people to be able to do this, and then it became a lifestyle, and then it became a calling. So we went from lifestyle to calling, which is really important. So that is fantastic. Now, I think what's interesting is not only did you go ahead and get yourself the certifications and started working at different fitness facilities, and you went up in the management, you had also told me that you are a Pilates instructor and you're certified also to be a yoga instructor. So really got really well-rounded in the sense of just not from the personal training perspective, also the sports psychology. And now we're going into different modalities of health and wellness. As far as with the Pilates and yoga, is that something that you practice on a regular basis or on a daily basis? I'm kind of curious on your routine.
Very regular basis. I'm a firm believer in incorporating all different modalities. There's not just one for most people. As far as longevity, when it comes to bone, joint health, it's very important to focus on a flexibility program, strength training program, cardiovascular program, obviously for your heart health. And I think that a lot of people eliminate one or some or even sometimes all when really they're all pretty important. It doesn't mean that everyone has to do Pilates, but if you look at actually professional athletes, most of them practice all of those things in order to keep their bodies in the best health possible.
No, absolutely. One of the things that I have practiced utilizing the cold water immersion, I'm really big into Wim Hof.
Yes.
Now, I haven't yet jumped into a 0-degree lake, but I'll get there eventually. I keep practicing in colder and colder water. But when you have the right nutrition, then you have the different types of exercises. And I really want to emphasize the term coping skills. These are all the ways that we deal with our daily stressors. And those cortisol levels just keep rising and rising. And then, it's like we have to have a sense of movement. And without the movement, I don't know how we're going to have an equilibrium. I mean, a lot of people, not everybody, has maybe a sedentary job. And then what do you do with all that stress? Some people carry it in the lower back or in their neck. And it's like we have to get rid of it. And I know that when I move and I walk every single day, it's like a reset for the day. I'm ready to go. So it's so important. So yeah, so you're capturing and utilizing all these different modalities on a daily.
They really have a place for everything. And you had mentioned, okay, what do you do with all this energy? Our bodies really are meant to be moving. We're not meant to.
Yes, they are.
And if you look at, especially during COVID, the number of people with either circumstantial anxiety or generalized anxiety disorder, I mean, it's more documented now. I don't want to say there's more now, but it's definitely more documented, and there's a greater realization of how fitness and nutrition, but especially fitness, and there really should be an integrated part in a person's mental health. And
Music to my ears, yes.
it doesn't mean that a person have or actually even should, do high stress exercise for an hour. That's not what it means. It's just getting your body moving and there's obviously many different reasons why. Okay, how does it affect your hormones? How does it affect you neurologically and all these things? But and there's even more research that needs to be done in that realm. It's there's so much to be discovered still, but we do know that for a fact that exercise is an essential part to overall well-being, to our mental health, and physiologically the way our bodies are functioning on a daily basis. And then you also talk about things like, okay, if I'm sedentary all day, a person wants to lose weight and they go from a sedentary job or they're sitting down all day and then they go to, say, a box gym that has a prescribed format that they give to everyone, and then a person who can't execute a squat properly, now they're having the person do a box jump or something like this. And so this is where a person's fitness program really should be. So the most important thing is when doing a fitness program or a nutrition program is having something that's customized and tailored to one's specific needs, right?
Correct.
Because we're all coming into the gym or exercising outdoors or whatever the case may be with a different set of ailments, a different set of circumstances, whatever it is. Everyone's body is different, right? And age has a lot to do with it, if you have any prior injuries. And that's how, I'd mentioned to you before how I flew out of the car when I was 5, right? And this is why I got so into chiropractic and understanding the importance of the science behind the nervous system, the central nervous system, the peripheral nervous system, muscle innervations, body biomechanics. And I think as a general rule, when someone goes to be a personal trainer, for example, you get a basic understanding of fitness.
Yeah.
And how to properly take care of a client without getting them injured. But also out in the world nowadays, there's so much, bro science and information on the internet that is really not good for a lot of people. It works for some people, but it won't for others. And this is, I think, what people don't understand. But that's why I created my own niche. And my niche was, okay, I'm really going to become an expert at corrective exercise and understanding the way the human body moves and the central nervous system and the muscles and how that can best help a client. It's actually really essential. And I think that's a huge part of actually what's missing in a lot of training now is you really need to know the science first. It's not just about losing weight or gaining muscle. It's about working out effectively for your body, and that's going to get you the results that not necessarily you might want. Yes, we might all want a beach body, but what's the most important thing first? We have to make sure our physical structure is sound, that our heart is in a healthy enough condition in order to endure more intense exercises.
Yeah, it's the build-up, right? And also adapting to where people are individually. I've done the all-level yoga classes, and some people cannot get into certain positions. Some people's muscles are tighter. Some people, quote unquote, I haven't used that muscle in a long time, right?
Right.
So that's why the instructor's like, do what you can. And it's very similar. One of my staple hobbies is diving. And one of the things that we've learned really early in dive school is do not dive beyond your capabilities. And a lot of times people will get out there and they'll get themselves as a new diver, or sometimes they're not paying attention to all of the environmental factors in their body at that time, and they get themselves into real trouble, right? Where there's a rescue needed or a fatality. And it's unfortunate. I've been at a gym where somebody didn't make it, and I was on an AED, and it was somebody didn't look like they were in the best of health, but pushed themselves too far. Setting ourselves up for success is tremendous. So I think one of the things that is interesting, I want to go back to 2020. I mean, I don't want to go back to 2020, but we're going to go back to 2020. COVID-19, or as I like to call it, is the Corona era. I remember the day that the gym closed. And I remember looking through the window, and the guy at the front desk kind of just shook his head no. And I'm like, okay. time to up that cardio, which I did. And as you recall, like Amazon, eBay, Walmart, Target, all you couldn't get a bike, you couldn't get exercise equipment. God.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, and I was using the great outdoors. I was out in the wild, if I may say, getting all the exercise I could because I did not want to be cooped up in the house all day. That was also an interesting time for you because you work in the industry and you decided that you were going to take a leap of faith and go independent. Can you tell us a little more about that?
So I used to work for many years. I did the whole climbing the corporate ladder with a large fitness corporation.
Sure.
And I was fitness manager at corporate headquarters in one of their San Diego locations, and Corona hit, and there were multiple gym shutdowns, and
It was.
it was just one after the other, and it was a really hard time. And during that time, I was fortunate, and I'm still so very grateful. I was literally one of the only employees that got kept on to stay with the company during all of that. And due to some other outside reasons, I just decided, okay, my father made an offer to me. He said, do you want to come and work with my business and some numismatics, like rare coins, right? And I said, okay, I'll try it out. And so I left the gym and I, went this route. And although it was something that was going to require me to be at a computer many hours a day, which I'm not very good at, hence the reason,
Sedentary, yes.
Yes, I'm not very good with sedentary work whatsoever. So I was doing this, but at the same time, I was deciding, okay, I'd been to Cancun for my birthday the prior year and just that previous December. It wasn't even a full year. And I was like, okay, I want to relive that experience. And in my mind, I said to myself, okay, Kim, you're single. You have the freedom to move your work with you now. Who knows if the opportunity is ever going to present itself again to go ahead and travel for a while you work. That's one of those things. I had to grab the bull by the horns.
Absolutely.
And I was like, okay, if I'm going to do this now, I got to do it now, right? So I decided to just go with that. And I went back to Cancun, and I was only intentionally going to stay there for 1 week. And then I ended up staying there an entire month. I was splitting my time between Cancun. Then I went to Isla Mujeres for a week, which is a small island off of the coast of Cancun, in Quintana Roo, which is in the Yucatan Peninsula. And then I went back to Cancun for a couple weeks, came home, and I was almost like, okay, I have to do this again. I have to explore more about this place because I'd always been, one of my greatest passions other than, health and wellness was traveling.
Yes, me too.
I'd already been to about I've been to about 38 different countries.
Wow.
I wanted to learn more about it because I also had ideas of, okay, I want to somehow invest into running retreats there, owning property there, something along those lines. So I wanted to learn more about it. And then I ended up leaving my dad's company because I knew, okay, Kim, I did some journaling and writing about this because, sometimes I think for a lot of people during COVID, and I know this isn't just me, it was sort of a reinventing process.
Well,
shedding
yes.
away the old, and then, okay, really digging deep and saying, okay, what's going to grow from this, right? What's the next best version of myself?
I like that. What is the next best version of myself? This show, the Ricardo del California show, was born out of Corona because I always wanted to do my own talk show out of the day job. And here we are in season 2, and we're talking. So there was a lot of gold to be had as far as our personal time. Never again are we going to have that amount of time that we had during the Corona era.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of people that were saying, I got the Corona 20. I'm like, what does that mean? Is that like some sort of like offshoot of the 19? They're like, no, like I gained 20 pounds or I gained 35 pounds. And there was a lot of doom scrolling on their phone, right? A lot of people were doing this thing and they're doom scrolling on their phone and they're eating junk food and they're becoming the Corona vampires, being up very late at night and too much video games and a lot of fear mongering on the news. One of the things that people were robbed of is the news never talked about how many hundreds of millions of people recovered. Now, of course, my heart and soul mourns for these people who have been terribly impacted by their health. But there was such an incredible recovery that it put a state of depression over the world. It was interesting. I was watching a Tony Robbins seminar, and it was called The Comeback. And he's like, "What do you mean I can't meet with tens of thousands of people in an arena?" And he had to reinvent everything and talked about these businesses that just revamped everything. Food trucks that were just putting Instagram. Okay, we're on this corner, and we're going to be on down the street. And we're going to make different foods, and they were just bringing in money left and right because people were looking for any excuse to try something new. Right. So here we are, and you have come up with this brilliant idea that I am going to create a company born out of health, wellness, fitness, and travel. It's interesting. I was looking at your mission statement, so I'm just going to look off camera here, but it said our mission at Tomaska Wellness and Travel is to use our passion for healthy living, complete wellness, and unique travel experiences in order to bring positive changes and outcomes into people's lives. And what better way to do this? And, we're kind of pitching Isla de Mujeres. What better than going somewhere for a fitness retreat in paradise? A lot of times people will think, oh, I'm going to go down there, I'm going to drink on vacation, I might go doing water skiing. And then you say, let's take it to the next level. Can I take you higher? Sorry, Scott Stapp, I know I just stole your lyrics. But anyway, that would be the higher experience. And on your downtime to be able to be in paradise?
Exactly. It is. I think that also, in society today, it's very easy to get caught up in a lot of other externals. And I'm talking like monetary, tangible goods, things where we forget how important the experience is. Where you can go. Now, I am hosting a retreat, and yes, it's going to be at a very nice resort. But
I certainly hope so.
But at the same token, you can stay in a place that's not so fancy and just be on this beautiful landscape and the ocean. And since you dive, you already know beautiful aquatic life, sea life. I mean, all these incredible things out in nature and cultural experiences that really are the essence of part of like our living. And I think so many people kind of forget that they get comfortable in their city or their town, and then they forget that there's a whole other world outside of that. And what they don't understand too is by exploring outside of that and really understanding other cultures and the way they live, it is so much enriching and more enriching for their own personal lives, but also expands your mind to the way other people think and the way other people live their daily lives. Things that we might find obscure, strange, and different in, say, San Diego, for example. We go into another country and we're like, oh my gosh, what's that? And it's like, no, that's their cultural norm.
It's interesting. From time to time, I do travel logs. It's on my Hikey Boy channel, and I've done a lot of travel oddities, and I'm going to be doing some different ones of past trips. People say, oh, those are really great videos. I'd like to do that. And then I always say, well, when does your passport expire? Well, I don't have one. And I always say politely, I'm like, hey, you're serious when you got the passport, because that is the key to the world. And, it's one thing to gift yourself some new clothing or maybe to buy a car, but it's so unique when you take a travel experience, because that's something that's ingrained for you. That's in the memory banks for life, and it is enriching. It's really interesting. If you recall the movie, oh my gosh, it's with Ben Stiller where he gets married and goes to Mexico, and I cannot think of the name of this movie. The Heartbreak Kid. Do you remember that movie?
That movie, yes.
Right. And things don't work out so well with him and the wife. It was a cluster, and then later on you see him back in Mexico, and he's running like a snorkeling business, and he's like, I became a Perma Vacationer, right? Yeah. This is the life. I remember I was in St. John, not too 5 years ago-ish, and I was at a restaurant, and I met the owner, and he was the waiter and the owner, and he had one cook, and it was a 2-person operation. And when I am on vacation, I meet these people that go to different places, especially islands. I'm always curious, I'm like, how did you end up doing this? What inspired you? He said, I had a Porsche, I had a suit, lived in Atlanta. He said, I got rid of the Porsche, got rid of the suit. I live in a 2-bedroom hut up in the jungle, and this is my deal. And it was like right there. You know, even if you want to just meet people that go live in Catalina, they're
Right.
much more chill than
Yes.
the mainland that we live on.
Right.
And there's always a story. And this is an opportunity for people to be able to get the whole kit and caboodle. I know that the operation is growing and you're putting things together. So let's just say I went to your website, and your website is called
TomaskaWellnessandTravel.com.
.com.
Yes.
And when you're ready to host these lovely experiences, it gives the people an opportunity to do amazing things. So what might be included?
Okay, so I'm really excited about this. This has been my passion project for a very, very long time. I always had it. It was always a dream of mine to host either travel retreats, wellness retreats, both. It didn't matter. Just to combine the things that I love so much and to share that experience with others.
Sure.
You know, it was interesting. My mom had told me earlier this year, because I was very nervous about starting my own business, especially something this big. And she says to me, like, Kim, if not now, then when? When are you going to do it? I mean, time's only going to go by.
Like, yeah, if not now, when?
Time. Exactly. So I said, okay, forget about it. Forget about it. I'm going to just do it. On this particular retreat, so I was getting feedback from friends and people that I know. And after this whole COVID thing, they were really wanting to have a travel experience, not so wellness experience. Granted, Isla is a great place to do that, especially this resort. It's secluded on its own private islands off of Isla Mujeres. So you
cross an island off an island.
Off an island. You go across this gorgeous bridge across the ocean. It's amazing. The hotel's called Mayan Reef Hotel.
Mayan Reef?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to put a picture of that.
It's
the reef.
It's absolutely gorgeous, and it's great for a wellness retreat too, but I want to bring people to actually experience the island and the food and the culture and everything that it has to offer. So, this particular trip, once I get there, you know, it's kind of a long flight out there. It's going to entail, getting acclimated to the hotel, just enjoying the activities on the beach there. There's kayaking, snorkeling, just right off the reef there. It's just perfect. You can just hop right in the ocean.
This sounds a lot like Couples Retreat.
That's one of my favorite movies.
Okay, now let me ask you a question. For those of you, for anybody in this audience who's seen that movie, go see the movie. Will there be a Salvatore doing with the encouragement doing the yoga?
Yes, exactly.
Not an inappropriate version. Encouragement. Okay, I'm going to put that on. Fantastic. And it looks like a screensaver, right? You know, when they get off the boat, he's like, oh my gosh, it looks like a screensaver. I mean, it will be.
Yes.
Jump right in it.
Exactly. The water is so clear and blue for so long. You can just float around there, and the type of fish and the coral life there is really great. So the first day, you know, they get to explore and do those things, and then evening time, sunset cruise. Then the next
sunset cruise.
Yes. So we're
pitching the sunset cruise. I'm loving it.
It's cool. There's a private pier off the hotel, and then the boat comes to the private pier and takes us off on a sunset cruise into the ocean there. And then, you know, you've got your ceviche, and then if someone wants to imbibe, they've got their cerveza or whatever it is they want to drink.
Okay. We got some spirits going. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and it's a beautiful sunset right there off. It's called Playa Norte, which is the northernmost part of the island. Okay. And so that's the first full day there. Second day, I want to get them exploring the island a little bit. So I'll take them on a golf cart tour. Yes, they drive golf carts out there. There's very few.
Like the movie. Yeah, I'm loving this.
Only motorbikes and golf carts. That's it.
Okay, no gasoline vehicles.
Exactly. So golf cart tour, we're going to go to Punta Sur, which is the south point, which is where the Temple of Ixchel is. It was an offering place of Ixchel is basically the moon goddess, and that's why it's Isla Mujeres, the island of women. So these are Mayan ruins at Punta Sur, and then the seascape is just absolutely gorgeous. Day 3 is going to be the big event today. It's going to be the 4-in-1 day where we take the ferry back to Cancun.
Yep.
And we're going to travel down south to Tulum. Tulum, yes. And then we're going to go to Coba, which is an archaeological site, Mayan archaeological site. And then we're going to go to Playa del Carmen, and we're going to go to some cenotes over there, which is absolutely a beautiful experience, going swimming in the cenotes.
The cenotes, okay.
Yeah. And then, have lunch there and everything, and then come back up and get back to the island. But that's a full day excursion.
It sounds incredible. You need to get some good sleep.
Yes.
We need to definitely get some good shut-eye. Now, during this experience, will there be some sort of classes or exercises that people will participate?
Yes, I'm going to be hosting on. See, I'm trying to make it so that way people's energy isn't just going to be all blown right away. You've got to be able to enjoy your surroundings. So that's why I'm spreading it out in such a way where, okay, this is more of a casual day. We're going to do a food tour.
Foodies.
Yes,
come out.
Yes, and that's going to be more casual. 4 days or 4 days long. It'll be 4-day food tour.
40 days long. Okay, that's going to be that's going to cost a little.
You'll surely gain your 20 pounds.
Absolutely.
No, but it's going to be just 4 hours, so they can just come back and hang out at the hotel. So on those more mellow days, I'm going to be doing a yoga class right on the Mayan Reef Hotel property there.
Okay.
And so I'll be doing about three during the entire retreat. So that's going to be nice.
Between the yoga, right, and the food tour and the sightseeing and snorkeling, or I'm sure on site there might be people who want to dive. They might have those. I'm sure they have those services. It sounds like a one and done type of thing, and you're coming back refreshed. And it's interesting. I'm going to go back to couples retreat because it's one of my fan favorites. When they're coming back and they talk about the animal spirit, not that you're going to have your people do that. It is a great time of reflection at the end of a vacation to be able to take a look at your lovely sunsets or mornings and saying, okay, what did I get out of the experience? And I think people taking epic life journey to such a beautiful place should go in with an agenda. What do I want to get out of this? And
exactly.
For some people, is I just need to decompress and detox from the world for a little bit, say the hustle and bustle of life, and reboot, which is so incredibly important. We're running around with our heads cut off like a bunch of chickens, as they say. It's interesting, and you've been to many countries. I've been in Europe, and over there in America, we live to work, and over in Europe,
right.
It's like, and in Mexico and Latin America and South America, they work so they can live.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different lifestyle. And I think one of the things for a viewer, for whoever is going to see this show, you can make life changes. And it can start now. What do we want to change? What do I want to implement? How do I want my life to look differently? And what do I need to do? And be consistent in doing it, to have these particular coping skills. This event, this place, when people go there, it's going to be something that will forever be in their memories. And I'm really excited about this. About when might somebody be able to partake in this experience? Is that something that we're seeing late 2023, 24?
This is going to be in early May for 2023 because I want to give people enough time to plan ahead.
So, Kim.
Yes.
For people who want to partake in this, what would you want them to get out of this?
That's actually a really easy question to answer, and it's something that I so easily got from the experience. When I went there, it was just to actually be in the moment and embrace every experience that I was having there, and understanding this is really a once-in-a-lifetime experience to be here on this private island. I made it a many-time life experience. I just was committed to the idea that I'm coming here. But for most people, it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience to stay on a private island, to be able to experience going to cenotes, traveling and seeing all these different cultural sites, to really get enveloped in the whole entire area. is very unique. Not everyone's going to be able to say, you know, in every part of their life, oh, I can just jump up and go and do this, because
Yeah.
if not now, when? It's a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Right. We spend so much money as Americans, right,
Mm-hmm.
on, you know, and again, I go to Starbucks too, but I mean, we spend so much money and we just waste so much money doing all different forms of entertainment. What about taking a lot of your mad money or just free spending money or taking a tax return and really dedicating it towards doing something that would be really creating an iconic moment, an iconic week in somebody's life? And could
Exactly.
be potentially life changing. And you can take that slice of paradise home with you and practice some of the things you've learned. I think that those are so important. And Kim, I think this is going to be something that a lot of people will definitely be interested in. But it's going to take a commitment. It's going to take a commitment of their time. They're going to have to make the investment.
Mm-hmm.
But the greatest investment that you can make in your life is you.
Exactly. 100%.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So once again, Kim, thank you so much for being on the Ricardo del California show.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
My pleasure. It was so nice to meet you, and I'm so glad that you posted about this wellness retreat online. And I'm like, okay, we need to talk. So health, wellness, fitness, nutrition, it's all in the loop. Thanks again, everybody, for watching our show. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, hello again. This is Ricardo del California. Thank you so much for watching my show. It means so much to me. If you like what you saw today, please subscribe, and I'll see you real soon.